Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Our defense forces have our love and honor. There is no two ways about it. But are they above the law? Are they above the rules? I'm asking you this question on a day when Army veterans want us to boycott SpiceJet because of what happened at the Srinagar Airport last week. What happened is on your screens. A man in a red shirt, later identified as Lt Col R.K. Singh, seen violently assaulting 4 SpiceJet's staffers for refusing to let him board the flight. One staffer was left with a fractured spine, another with an injured jaw. Now, the airline is calling this a murderous assault and has filed an FIR. They have also put the officer on their no-fly list. One of the staffer who was injured says they were merely doing their jobs when the officer turned violent. First, let's listen into him.
15 to 16 kg का बैग का वेट था, फिर 2 पीस इनके पास हैंड कैरी कर रहे थे। तो मैंने नॉर्मली इनको बोला सर आपका जो वेट अलाउंस है वो 7 kg का है, बाकी फर्दर जो आप एक्स्ट्रा पे कैरी करें उसके लिए आपको पेमेंट वगैरह करने की। तो उन्होंने वहाँ से शाउट करना स्टार्ट किया, हाउ डेयर यू टू स्टॉप मी, कौन सी एयरलाइन ऐसा करती है, कहाँ पे हैं ये रूल्स। तो मैंने उनको नॉर्मली बोला सर जो आपके पास टिकट मिला होगा आइटिनरी है, उस पर सारी डिटेल्स मेंशन होती हैं कि कितना बैगेज अलाउड है। तो सडनली इन्होंने सीएसएफ को धक्का दे के गेट से बाहर निकल गए, यानी अपने 2 बैग उठाए गेट से बाहर निकल गए। तो सीएसएफ के स्टाफ ने इनको रोक के वापस लाया। तो जो इन्होंने अपने बैग का कुछ 1-2 kg कम करके अंदर आए तो सारा वो जो बैग उठा के पहले ही मेरे मुंह पे फेंक दिया इन्होंने। और उसके बाद उन्होंने जो मारताड़ वहाँ पे स्टार्ट करी है, उसके बाद उन्होंने 1-2 लातें मारी, मुझे इतना मुझे पता है। फिर उन्होंने पंच मारा मेरे इधर फेस पे, जिसकी वजह से मेरी नोज ब्लीडिंग हुई, तो मैं वहाँ पे नीचे गिर गया। उसके बाद फिर फर्दर क्या हुआ सर कुछ भी नहीं पता।
Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are always 2 sides to a story, and I will give you both on the show this evening. Lieutenant Colonel Singh was proceeding on leave from Srinagar to Delhi. He was carrying 2 check-in bags that together weighed about 15 to 16 kgs. The weight allowed is 7 kgs. So essentially, he was carrying double the amount of weight that is permitted. He was stopped at the boarding gate and then asked to pay excess baggage. Now, CCTV available is showing us, first, there's a verbal argument. Then the officer tries to forcibly enter the flight. He is stopped, and then the kicking and punching and clobbering starts. Just very interestingly, a CISF personnel is also seen in the video. He's very clearly failing to control the situation, though the CISF says they did that at some point of time, they did manage to control the situation. Now, SpiceJet has called this a murderous assault. On the other hand, the officer says he was told at the time of check-in that he can carry 2 handbags with him. He says he was deliberately stopped and provoked when his baggage was weighed. He says he missed the flight, and that is when things went out of control. He too has filed a counter-complaint. Ladies and gentlemen, rules and discipline are bedrock of army life. In this case, the rules are clear anywhere you fly in India. 1 handbag or nothing more than 7 kgs. And this, by the way, is the Srinagar Airport, where rules are in any case strictly enforced because of its very sensitive nature. So are veterans defending the indefensible this evening when they say boycott SpiceJet? Does wearing the olive green give you an exemption from following rules? Or does the charge of deliberate harassment, especially in Srinagar, of the armed forces actually hold true? My guest this evening, Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, joining us on the broadcast. Good evening, General. Major General Sanjay Meston joining us in the studio. General, thank you very much for your time. And Dr. Sumit Suselan is a member of the Airport Advisory Committee under the Ministry of Civil Aviation. He is joining us on the broadcast as well. Major General Meston, I'm going to start with you. If this was a civilian in the red shirt that you see on your screens and not an army personnel, not an army officer, would veterans like you have been defending him as well?
Good evening. See, the issue is very sensitive. Firstly, whether it is veterans or whether it is Indian Army, everyone is a citizen of this country, so there should be no differentiation between civilians and army. And your starting statement was that the armed forces are subject to discipline and rules. I somehow beg to disagree. The entire nation, every citizen is subject to rules and regulations.
Okay.
And therefore, it is moral responsibility of everyone, whether he's a soldier or whether he's an army officer. He's serving the nation in a most treacherous terrain of J&K, whether it is Siachen Glacier or anywhere. Does anyone know how is he traveling? He has to start his journey early in the morning, maybe even one day before. He's an army officer. He is also a security. He is also a threat for the terrorists would like to eliminate any army officer. How do we travel? No one in this country will understand how does a soldier or an army officer travels from his place of posting to Srinagar Airport. He is not coming from the Srinagar city. So these points have to be understood. Next, when he comes to the airport, during check-in or anything, if he has revealed his identity, he is Colonel so-and-so, definitely the nation and the SpiceJet staff, it is a moral duty to respect him. Today, I see even in places like Delhi and Gurgaon, I stay here, how people are so rude to veterans. Why? The armed forces also have the due respect and honor. It is not only that armed forces are subject to discipline and rules.
General, I agree with you. I agree with you, General. But here's my counter question. Essentially, is the crux of your argument that because this is an army officer, because this officer has come from the high altitude warfare school in Gulmarg and travelled all the way to Srinagar, therefore the officer should be given special treatment and special exemptions that are not afforded to a civilian? Is that the crux of your argument, sir?
Not at all. That is not the crux of my argument. My argument is very clear. The army officer or the soldier serves the nation, and the nation also has a duty to at least give basic respect. Nothing else. The army wants basic respect. Do you know, Shreya, how the people talk to army people today? You tell them the rank, including generals, they start, trying to differentiate with you. The media definitely, yes, respects the army, but the common people, most of them, I have seen, especially now you're talking about airlines, SpiceJet, any airlines, you just go, you just tell them I'm so-and-so, I'm a veteran. You are just disclosing your identity, but the way they talk to you, because they are, this is a scam. You know what is a scam? You rightfully said he was carrying some extra baggage. Firstly, why was he allowed to proceed from the check-in counter? Why was he allowed? Why was he given a boarding pass? Number two, why was he stopped? And this is a scam. They want to look for money because he knows this army officer is harassed. He has to go. He's taken a special leave. So they expect कि थोड़ा पैसा देगा. These are on-ground realities. Please accept it. And I'm not, defending the army or anyone. I'm talking about the basic respect and honor today which the armed forces are not being given. And that is why things happen. I am not
Sumit Suselan, okay, sir, I heard you out. Dr. Sumit Suselan, there are 2 points that have been made. One point is, why was at the time of being given a boarding pass, the officer told that, okay, you can carry 2 pieces of luggage? A, that was a mistake made. And B, when the officer is trying to board the flight, why are you stopping him and then asking him to go pay excess baggage? Everyone knows that while you are boarding and then you are asked to go pay excess baggage, 100% you will miss your flight. In any case, the guy did miss his flight. So this is harassment. Deliberate harassment is the argument coming in.
No, this is wrong information. Normally what happens, the passenger, what they do, they never show up their bags. They always keep the bags backside. They always check the baggage. They always check, is it 7 kg or not? Because I am a personal traveler. I travel on and off. Especially when I was SpiceJet, I had taken a flight yesterday itself. They asked me to put the bag and they checked. If it's 1 kg excess also, they said, you have to take the weight down. Then only they allow. So there's no possibility that they will allow them, especially to Srinagar Airport, which is very sensitive airport. So every bag have to be checked. And the second point, where my co-panelist has said, like, no, there's no respect. The airlines are given special consideration for excess baggage allowance also for the army veterans. So it's not, even they have a special 10 to 50% discount as well. You can check, there are multiple airlines. I'm not saying only about SpiceJet. You take any airline, they have special consideration on that part. So I don't think that there is a lack of respect for any veterans. We do respect every veteran who are flying with airlines. But the information, this person should have a civic sense. The way they had beaten up the, staff, it can't tolerate. It doesn't matter it's an army person or anyone. You can't behave in such a way in an airport. A person is in a hospital for such a long time. He did his duty at the best way he can do. He had passed the information, and there was no argument when they are asking you, because if the passenger is going without permission, definitely airlines will ask the questions from the staff.
But Dr. Sumit, there is a problem there also. When you say 7 kgs, when you say only one handbag allowed, God knows these rules are different in different airports. I have multiple times carried 2 hand baggages more than 7 kgs. I've never been stopped. But there are friends in other airports who have traveled who have been stopped. So there is no consistent policy. Yes, there are rules on paper. But as Indians, we all know when we travel that these rules, you can break these rules. No one will check you. Maybe that is what the officer thought as well. And this guy was clearly in a deliberate, he was in a need to take that flight. He was on an emergency leave. This is an army officer we are talking about. Why couldn't the airline just say, okay, sir, don't do this again. Please go ahead, carry on, board the flight?
There are multiple points on that. So when it comes to a woman traveling, the bag which they are carrying is not considered as as a cabin bag. So you can carry your handbag as well as a cabin bag. If you are traveling with a baby, you can carry the prem with you. So that is also allowed. So there are multiple categories on that part. You have to consider, and everything is mentioned on the terms and conditions. When you book the ticket, have to go through that thing. So when it's mentioned for the male, the person have to carry only 7 kg. That to be a Srinagar, a hilly area, weight does matter, because there is something called payload penalty. Everything have to be mentioned on the load and trim sheet. Then only the flight can take off. We can't neglect these parts.
Okay, I hear you. General Kulkarni, would you want to come in here? The visuals are very clear. Now, my point is, veterans are today trying to trend a hashtag called Boycott SpiceJet. Is that even fair? Come to think of it, SpiceJet, like many other airlines, does give veterans and serving officers a 20% discount on their base fare. Why has this been made about the army's self-respect? This is not about the army's self-respect, is it?
Thank you, Shreya. A very sensitive issue, firstly. Secondly, it's under investigation, where the army has very clearly stated that we will go along with the investigation, and there should be no problem with that. Thirdly, generally speaking, I agree with you on one issue, that most people do carry 2 handbags. There is no denying the fact. And this officer did not have any baggage which was checked in. So he had only these 2 handbags with him. I have a number of times noticed that people do come at the boarding there, and there are people who come there and tell, look, can you just give this handbag to us because it's weighing a little more. There may not be enough space in the cabin. So please, here's the receipt. You can collect it when you board. So therefore, I would suggest, I don't know why such a thing should have happened. It should not have happened. Number one, it's something which is nobody would expect, and nobody should have such a situation.
So you're saying the officer was wrong. Clearly was wrong. Nothing should have provoked him enough to do what he did.
No,
because he's no ordinary citizen. He's an army officer. He carries the reputation of the forces with him.
And everybody knows in Srinagar. Srinagar is one airport where everybody knows who's who. That is one thing. And once, even if he says even if he's a Jawan also, and once he says he's a service personnel carrying 2 handbags, doesn't have a check-in baggage, therefore the spice person should have said, sir, you don't seem to have a check-in baggage. Please give this back to us. We will ensure that when you arrive Delhi, you will get the baggage. Probably things would have been sorted out. Than to force him, and then he must have felt so uneasy. I think it must be very, very provocative. This is the investigation is on, but definitely this kind of a behavior avoidable.
Dr. Sumi, just come in here. This is a good point that General Kulkarni is making. General Kulkarni is saying, okay, if he was carrying an extra hand baggage, if the hand baggage was overweight, all the stuff that they needed to do was to say, as the General says, humko baggage de do, we will ensure it reaches you in Delhi.
And they do that. They do that. I've seen it so many times.
So did this become an ego battle on the part of the SpiceJet staff as well? Humne bol diya na to na.
No, it's not like that. You know, normally on cabin, there's very less space. Normally it happens that if you have one bag also, sometimes the airline ask you, they request you, can you please put this in the check-in? They will take the bag, then they'll give you a tag that you will collect it on the arrival side. Why? Because especially Boeing aircraft, SpiceJet use Boeing aircraft, the overhead bin size are very small compared to an Airbus. So they don't allow much baggage on cabin. So that's a normal procedure. So now on that place, they are requesting them to at least, give the bag or at least, to pay for that thing. I don't think there's anything wrong. They are just following the company policy, which every staff have to do it. So for the safety of the passengers.
But the only thing here, I've seen it number of times. It happens. You'll be having a little handbag. It may be saying 7 kgs, maybe 10 kgs. The person comes, bang, just saying you're boarding and says, can I take this back from you? Here's the receipt. You'll get it there. And that is how it is done. We don't mind if you say, okay, take it here.
There is a lot of talk. Let me get in General Meston as well. There's a lot of talk about why was it that the hand baggage was weighed only at the boarding gate. That is the protocol. Hand baggages are not weighed anywhere else. If you need to do it at any point, it is done at the boarding gate itself. You can't do it once you're checking
but
in. But
nobody weighs. I've never had my hand baggage ever weighed.
Exactly.
Never.
But if the airline feels that you are carrying more than 7 kgs, they have a right to weigh, which is exactly what they did.
Absolutely, sir. They take it from you. They take it from you and say, don't worry, please carry on. We will ensure that the bag is delivered to you.
When you the check-in counter, where you can put your bag and wait there. There is a stand and it should be in the proper size. If it is not in the size also, you have to check it in. If it's an odd size bag, you are not allowed to carry on board for that. So everywhere in the check-in counter, anywhere you can see that.
Dr. Sumit, the rules, we all know the rules. But I've never seen these rules being followed. Every kind of hand baggage is carried in our airlines. It is a bit like, traveling in a train. But General Meston, there's a point you made and I want to elaborate on that point. You were getting upset about the fact that there is a way to speak to army officers and veterans in civilian life that doesn't happen, especially in Srinagar. What is the point you're trying to make about Srinagar and Srinagar's staff particularly and this officer?
I'm not making a point of Srinagar and Srinagar staff. I'm making a general point. Now let me tell you some basic facts. Firstly, I do not know how much, there are two kinds of baggage. One is the checked-in baggage. Generally, all airlines, they give 15 kg weight checked in. I'm not aware whether this officer had a separate checked-in baggage. Number two.
He didn't.
If he didn't have, that means he was already, what was the overweight in that case? See, cabin baggage is 7 kg and checked-in is 15. If you add up the total, it amounts to 22 kgs. How much was he carrying? Was the total weight 22 kg?
Both the baggage.
Yeah, that baggage definitely has to go in the Pardon?
That's not the way the airline operate. You can't mix the baggage of cabin.
No, wait. Let me now clarify some basics to you.
General Meston, I understand the point you're trying to make, but that's not how things work.
Oh, no, please. If there is 15 plus 7, 22 kg, just wait.
Not right.
Can I speak?
Yes. Dr. Sumit, just let General Meston finish what he's saying and then I'll come to you.
I speak with authority and conviction and my ground experience. If firstly he is authorized 15 plus 7, that is the total application. 15 goes in checked in and 7 goes in this thing. Now the circumstances perhaps of this officer was, I think he was going on an emergency leave. He's carried 2 bags. Definitely the total would have been less than 22 kg. And even if he has carried it 2 in the handbag, generally the staff is considered why he wants to carry it on hand. Because he wants at the airport to deplane and move fast. There is an emergency. No, it's not every, then the check-in baggage. Whenever there is a doubt, I faced it. In Delhi airport, your even normal cabin baggage, sometimes they tell you to weigh there. I have never seen cabin baggage being ever weighed at the boarding pass, at the boarding area. I have never seen it. I do not know how some people are making a statement. On ground, this happens. Number two, let's assume that the officer has carried it. He is forcing. They know he's an army officer. There is a corps headquarters. They could have allowed this officer to go, noted down everything, put a complaint against him. Why is the officer assaulted? Everyone is talking he assaulted. What are the circumstances he assaulted?
Sir,
if someone, no, wait.
General Meston, please, there's a 9-minute video that shows us who starts the assault and who's the one assaulting, sir. I mean, there is a broken spine we are talking about. There are injured jaws we are talking about here.
You please use correct language to me. I'm not. Can you hear anything in the video? No. You can only see action. What has provoked him? One army officer, if he is assaulting onto 4 people, something has provoked him. Do you know the kind of comments sometimes people make? This could have been made a comment, and all these 4 people, keep quiet. Let me speak. Here itself it shows when an army officer is speaking, you are being disrespectful. Let me allow to speak. When you are speaking, I didn't button. Keep quiet. I am trying to say one thing, that if there was something, why the army officer is assaulted, has that been discussed? You lose a derogatory language. You see what condition he is traveling, that's why I explained to him.
But sir, how do we, since there was no video, how do we know there was derogatory language used?
How are you making that statement? Can you see the video? I want the, including what was discussed. Where is that? That is not there. So let us not cast exposures on the army officer unnecessarily. SpiceJet has faltered. They should have been, they should have behaved correctly. Even if the officer has faltered, they could have reported to the corps headquarters. They cannot use abusive, filthy language against any army man.
But how do we know they used abusive, filthy language against the army officer, sir? You yourself are saying there is no audio.
How are you saying you see the video? Can you hear the audio?
Sir, I can see the actions.
Action nahi. This is where you are going wrong. Why are you supporting SpiceJet?
I am just, sir, my commentary is based on what I have seen.
No. Where is the audio? Where is the audio? There is no audio. So let's not make judgment.
I will let Dr. Sumit now respond to what you are saying, sir.
He has stated that the army investigate, and this is one side of story. 4 or 5 people have ganged up and they can write anything. Can you believe one army officer can injure everyone?
Sir, but it's on our screens.
I will not accept it.
Sir, it's on our screens. General, it is on our screens. Seeing is believing.
Where is the audio? Where is the audio?
Arey bhai, dikh raha hai the person. There are 4 people who are injured. It's in the FIR. It's on our screens. General Meston.
That is fine. That they can make any story. Where is the audio? There is no audio.
Okay. I have heard you out, sir. I've heard you out. I understand you feel passionately about it. I also understand when you say there is very little respect for armed forces, especially veterans in the civilian world, in the civilian street. I understand that. I hear you. I feel you. But is that what happened in this case? And should the officer have resorted to the sort of action he has, sir? That is questionable. I'm not sure where I stand. But anyway, Dr. Sumit, you wanted to respond. Please go ahead.
So I want to just say, see, you have to understand, in Srinagar Airport, every second person which we are facing, they are from the army background, Air Force background. We know this thing, and the staffs know about this part. That's why we always have a very high regards for staff. But now the temper, you can see the veteran's temper, you can see. Same thing happened in the airport. The veteran lost the temper and started hitting. So I don't have to give a much example. The examples are on screen itself. See, that's what. And no one have the rights to hit any aviation staff. Definitely, this person will be blacklisted from flying. They will be added in no-fly list. And regarding
General, give me a minute. Let Dr. Sumit finish speaking.
Yeah, and regarding boycotting SpiceJet, you have to understand, Shreya, these people fly in a very high risk to Srinagar airports. We always particularly request airlines to operate these sectors. There are very less airlines operating, especially for our defense people. We request them to operate in these sectors. We have to give regards to these airlines for that thing. If we start boycotting this airline, definitely the civilians will also suffer. because they will not be
Dr. Sumit, that is no argument because SpiceJet is not the only airline that operates out of Srinagar. And as General Meston said, you know, at least 50% of the clientele / flyers at the Srinagar airport are either Air Force or Army.
Yes.
General, any concluding remark? You've been quiet. You've been listening to both sides. Any concluding remark?
First and foremost, General Meston has his point of view. Let me be honest about it. First, he must have been really provoked. Otherwise, the officer should not, I will again say, should not have done what he has done. It should not required to do because secondly, the SpiceJet, it is like pouncing on, you know, as if someone's in an ambush, just waiting for this officer to come. And the moment he comes to the wait, now he has no option, he has to pay for it. That should not have been done. As I said, SpiceJet or any of these employees, they know their service officers and servicemen traveling.
Rupees. The excess baggage would have cost 5,000 rupees, 5,500 rupees.
It's not a question of money. It's a question of, poor thing must have felt his harassment. When he knows fully well that he's just carrying 14 kgs or 15 kgs and he's not got a check-in baggage. It's so much easier he could have carried it because I can understand his brain. He must be thinking, why wait for that baggage at the airport? He must be wanting to rush home straight. That may be all meant catching another flight somewhere. I don't know about his this thing. But it would have been better that this could have, and this incident has happened on the 26th of July. And it is on the 3rd of August that has come to notice. That means the very fact that it has lied low for so long, there must be some ways of wanting to settle it amicably, which it has failed. And therefore the investigation
So the army is saying we are cooperating with investigations. SpiceJet is not letting it go. SpiceJet is not letting it go because they are putting the officer in a no-fly list. And of course, there is an FIR and there's a counter FIR from the army officer as well. Let's see how this story ends. Gentlemen, it was good to have you on the show. Thank you very much. And more importantly, thank you very much for not saying what the Supreme Court has said today, that no good Indian would have said something like this. Thank you. Thank you, General Kurkalri, for being with us. Thank you, General Meston, for being with us. And Dr. Sumit, thank you very much for being with us this evening as well. On that note, a quick break. There's more news on the other side. Ladies and gentlemen, do stay with us.